following program is intended for mature audiences.
What do you say we have a rock and roll party? All right.
You're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports.
Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes.
And download every episode and more at basicallyasportshow.com.
Now here's your hosts, Zach,
Greg,
Mike.
And you're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Apparently, Dean Spanos is considering that if he moves to LA, completely ditching the Chargers name and records and just starting fresh.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, get rid of one of the best logos in football. One of the best uniform histories in football.
Mm-hmm.
For a team that they started in Los Angeles, he remembers.
Yes.
Wasn't that part of the appeal for moving back there?
Yeah, no, Los Angeles Chargers. That was the thing.
Okay, the thing about this identity is that it has three separate meanings. They were named the Chargers because the guy that started the team in the original AFL team in 1960 was Baron Hilton.
Baron Von Hilton.
Doesn't Baron Von Hilton sounds better, right?
I'm pretty sure that's a Captain America villain.
Okay, but anyway, Baron Von Hilton was in charge of one of the charge companies, so they were the Chargers. Then you had the Charger electrical thing with the bolts, and we also had the Charger from the horse Knights of the Round Table type deal, right?
Yeah, the armored knight horse, yeah. A couple weeks back, after the Chargers, I think it was like after week 1, after the Chargers blew that game against Kansas City in the first week of the season, and I kind of went on this rant about how, like, this team infuriates me, and yet I can't really, like, give up on them. If they move to Los Angeles and they stay the Chargers, I'm probably going to still be a Chargers fan. If they abandon the name and the history of the San Diego Chargers, I'm done.
An over 50-year history.
57 years. That would be 57, if my math is right, 57 years of history, and you're dropping the name, and we're out of good names, especially if you're going to leave out all the college names and stuff. There are none left.
I guess they might as well.
Golden Knights.
I guess they might as well.
Excuse me. Angeles Golden Knights is what we'd have to go with, right?
Angeles Golden Knights.
Hollywood Golden Knights. There you go.
Oh, God. You know what? If you're going to rename them, just save everyone a lot of time. Just be the Los Angeles Clippers Football Club.
Just go with it and totally embrace the whole thing, right?
I'm trying to think of teams that have been around that long that ditch their name.
I can't think of
one.
There's the Browns for the Ravens, but that was a different situation.
They were
Oilers.
They were forced to.
Titans, Oilers, Sonics, Thunder.
Although we need in the Sonics and Thunder case, it was a case where sort of like the relocation forced their hand because wasn't Sonics tied to the area? Like they really couldn't be the Oakland.
They were the Supersonics because they were named after the Jets because
which were built there, I think.
Right? Yeah.
When the Oilers changed to the Titans, keep in mind that was 20 years ago or so. So it wasn't a 50-plus year history at that point.
And Oilers it was kind of like with the Thunder. Oilers made absolutely no sense in Tennessee unless you were going to make the Beverly Hillbillies connection with Jed
Which I kind of wish they had just run with.
Really, that would have been great, right?
So
the only other one I can think of, the Bullets switched to the Wizards over some PC nonsense. But other than that, I can't think of anybody.
Yeah, the Sonics were the Sonics for 41 years. So kind of similar. I'm going to look up each one of our examples. The Oilers were the Oilers for 36 years, if you include the AFL years, from 60 to 96.
And that's kind of going to bum me out, right? Because of my Chargers fandom, I've always had this really big soft spot for the AFL and, like, the legacy of the AFL. But I mean, if I have to dump the Chargers because they do something stupid, which, by the way, dumping the Chargers name and moving to Los Angeles in one, motion would be peak Dean Spanos. That's the most Dean Spanos thing you could possibly do.
And it would be about the dumbest thing we've ever seen, at least in the NFL.
And again, this isn't like the Browns situation. Like, there's been no indication that the city of San Diego would put up a fight or even have much of a case if they tried to stop the team from taking the name. Like, by all accounts, this isn't being forced on Dean Spanos. He could very well be the Los Angeles Chargers if he wanted to be. He just is just
But can't the NFL step in, though? I mean, don't they have to approve all that stuff, too? Doesn't the league have to approve a name change? They could just say, look, you can't throw away 57 years of brand recognition.
I thought, didn't they even say a couple days ago that they weren't going to rebrand? And so he changed his mind in a couple days?
Dean Spano's not making any sense as par for the course.
Yeah. And the Browns, going all the way back to the All-America Football Conference, existed for 49 years.
But again, I would say that they were kind of forced to change. So
you've got two in the case of the Thunder and the Titans, where it just geographically made no sense to be called what they were called. And the Bullets, Wizards, they didn't move; they just changed names.
So the Washington Wizards were known as the Bullets starting in 1963 through 1997. So that's what, 34 years?
34 years, yeah.
34 years as the Baltimore Bullets, Capitol Bullets, and Washington Bullets.
And we're still not entirely sure why they changed it, because I was reading
violence.
It was gun violence, yeah.
I had heard that it was because the owner was pissed off that Yitzhak Rabin was assassinated, but then someone started digging through some archives and found out that he was considering changing it a full year before the assassination, so I don't even know what's going on.
Again, this is going off my memory, which I think I was still drinking back then, so I might even be imagining this, I'm not sure. It was something to do with there was so much gun violence in D.C., and they felt like they were contributing to that, not contributing to it, but tacitly endorsing it by calling themselves the Bullets. Which,
according to Wikipedia, it says that the Bullets had acquired violent overtones that had made Poland increasingly uncomfortable over the years, particularly given the high homicide and crime rate in the early 90s in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
It's also widely believed it is related to the assassination of his longtime friend, Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin. Do you want to know what the other possible things for Wizard were, by the way?
Yeah, because they all have to be better, right?
Well, they could have either been the Washington Dragons.
Okay, no, maybe not.
Express, Stallions.
You know what?
Or Sea Dogs.
I think I would even prefer Express over Wizards.
None of those names are great, but they're all better than Wizards.
Yeah, it was just a horrible, horrible name. And I understand the logic behind the Bullets thing, but it seems like that was kind of a stretch to me. It always felt that way, and they ditched some of the greatest NBA uniforms of all time too.
I don't think the Washington Bullets being called the Bullets really impacted the homicide rate one way or another.
No, but I can see why he would want to do it. I get the sentiment behind it.
Also, according to Wikipedia, something I hadn't even thought about until I just saw this. Apparently, the name also generated some controversy at the time because of the Ku Klux Klan, and being a wizard is a high rank in the KKK.
Oh, that one would have never occurred to me.
No, right? But I guess
they've
offended somebody somewhere.
That's just the dumbest name in all of sports. I've always hated the fact that they're called the Wizards now.
Do you remember their mascot that they had? The Wizards G-Man.
Oh, God.
Hold on.
What was it?
Hard to describe.
It's one of Lowe's mascots.
It's one of those generic, here's a thing in a team color.
Oh, well, those are always great. Oh, yeah, I remember him.
I love how the T-shirt gun is smoking.
Yeah.
I love how the T-shirt gun is smoking. That's fantastic.
Yeah. But they don't want to be called the Bullets, but this is okay.
It's basically one of those blue spandex suits with a muscle suit underneath it, and he's wearing sunglasses and a white headband with a Wizards jersey. And black gloves, and a Wizards logo tattooed on his shoulder.
It makes about as much sense if you could see it as it does not being able to see it, which is to say it doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah.
I feel kind of sad about this because if the Chargers change their name, I
feel sad about it.
The Chargers have 56 going into 57 years of history. They've never changed their color scheme, the logos. Their logo has been the lightning bolt in several different variations for the majority of that time.
I think the horse isn't the horse still like a secondary marker somewhere too, or the horse
it gets used on throwback merch.
It's a great identity, and you're not going to improve on it. So why would you do this?
Because Dean Spanos doesn't make good decisions.
It would be a shame to see, because the Chargers are just a big part of NFL history. To change that identity for really no reason whatsoever, it just makes no sense to me at all.
My only hope is that like you said, Greg, that the NFL steps in and is like, Dean, no.
Well, yeah, you're throwing, damn near 60 years of brand equity right out the window, and you're going to replace it with something that's going to be entirely stupid.
And because it'll be a completely new identity with like nothing, no history behind it, it means that Nike will have a completely blank slate to work with.
No thanks. Smarter people need to prevail in this one.
I'm already preparing to jump into the Cardinals bandwagon because that's what it's going to come down to.
So who would you pick as your new AFC team?
The Raiders.
That's a good choice.
Actually,
if you really want to stick it to the Chargers, right?
Actually, you know what? Yeah, you know what? I'll be a Raiders. Oh, the Raiders will be my AFC team if the Chargers do the stupid thing.
There you go.
It's done. There you go. Raiders and Cardinals. Those are who my teams are.
You got some traditional uniforms. They're coming back into form. It's a perfect time to jump.
And they put the AFL logo in the end zone just to piss everyone else off.
Because we're the Raiders and fuck off. That's why.
Speaking of NFL uniforms, Greg, your dream came true.
Oh, it looked horrible. It just looked horrible.
The Rams did bust out the white horns on the helmets, which the helmet alone looked very good. But just as we had talked about last week,
oh my God,
when they put it together with just the regular white uniforms and the gold accents, it looked like garbage. It
was terrible.
Honestly, if you just take those regular uniforms and you take the gold elements off of it, it probably would have worked okay. To not have the gold elements and then the white horns on the helmet made the Rams look like garbage against the highlighters of the Seahawks. And they even painted the end zones in that highlighter green, and it was just so many layers of garbage.
What did you guys think of the neon? I know some people liked it.
Hated it.
I don't mind it, but not head to toe. That's too much. Way too much.
I hated it. I liked it better on the last set.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't know. The whole current Seahawks look just doesn't work for me, and I thought this game looked terrible. The Rams looked exactly like you would think they would if you just heard what they did. It looked mismatched.
What bothered me about it was that now people are going to associate that awesome helmet with that entire look, which you can't do because they're completely mismatched.
They had even announced, I think when they released all the color rush uniforms in the beginning of the season, that the Rams weren't going to wear the yellow ones during their color rush game because it wouldn't have worked with the navy or the highlighter green for the Seahawks. So if they knew that already, why couldn't they have done something like what the Raiders or what the Saints did and just get a white uniform?
Who knows?
Like it's not a safety issue like with where you have to get a new helmet. They just change the stickers. What would it have been if they could have sold a new Los Angeles Rams throwback again? There would have been nothing wrong with that.
No, you could have done a color rush thing similar to like the Cowboys with the all white or the Saints or what the Packers did.
Right.
And you could have dumped the gold right out of it and worn the helmets, and it probably would have looked pretty good. But it just, man, oh man, did it look bad. It just, I don't even know how to describe it. It just looked stupid as all hell because you had the gray face mask, which was totally out of place with those modern uniforms. The white horns on the helmet, which just didn't work at all because of the gold accents. It would be, you wouldn't think that a couple of little things like that would throw off a uniform as much as it did, but it just threw off the whole look, top to bottom. Terrible.
The helmets were nice.
Yeah, they look good. You know, the funny thing is, I love those uniforms, and I honestly don't think I've ever seen them live. I don't remember ever seeing them when I was a kid. I've just seen pictures, and I'm like, those look really cool. And that was really the first time I'd ever seen that helmet actually in action on the field.
Well, Jeff Fisher's not around anymore. So,
yeah, well, hey, you know who else got the axe was Gus Bradley, our boy from Jacksonville, Zach.
Yeah, I saw that. Sounds like Rex Ryan will be axed, sooner rather than later. Brock Osweiler got benched for Tom Savage.
I was going to say Rick Savage, but I think he's the bass player in Def Leppard. Which still would have been an improvement.
Savage.
Macho Man. I'd love to see Macho Man Randy Savage play football. That would be amazing.
Tennessee.
Okay, where is Tom Savage? Where did he go to college?
Good God, I don't know.
Okay.
He's been named the starter, by the way, going into next week.
Right.
Oh, he played for Pitt.
Pitt?
For Pitt?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Are you sure? I have Rutgers.
3 seasons. Apparently, he transferred to Pittsburgh. 2009 was in Rutgers. 2010 Rutgers. 2013. What happened? Did he take 3 years off?
He enrolled at Rutgers in 2009. 2011, he was going to transfer from Rutgers. He wanted to go to Arizona, and then he just changed his mind to go to Pittsburgh.
Did any of us know or have even an inkling that a guy named Tom Savage was a quarterback in the National Football League until yesterday?
No.
I didn't. I had no idea.
No, I didn't even know he was a quarterback in college.
Yeah.
I've been watching a lot of old WCW today, and so when I first heard Tom Savage, I'm like, that sounds like something they would have done if they wanted to like try to sell some guy as Randy Savage's brother. Like, here's Tom Savage. Like, I don't know. And now he's a starting quarterback for the AFC self-leading Houston Texans, so good for him.
Excuse me, co-leaders. Don't leave out my irrational confidence Tennessee Titans.
Marcus Mariota.
They beat the Chiefs, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's a
the
nice
Titans
win for my Titans, man.
The Raiders are going to win this division almost by default because the Chargers kept derping their way to losses. The Broncos started off strong, but now they're kind of eh. And then the Chiefs, well, Andy Reid caught up to them eventually.
Well, and the Chiefs beat the Raiders twice. So
yeah. Chiefs are good. It's just that those irrational confidence Titans, look out, man. Here they come. I'm
Titans.
You.
I mean, hey, the Colts, they dismantled the Vikings. They're still a game out of that division lead, too. All of a sudden, the AFC South, entertaining.
And the AFC South, where the action is.
We've even got two teams over 500 this late in the year. I don't think that's ever happened, has it?
I don't know.
It's just so funny because even a month ago, the stuff we're talking about right now would have seemed completely insane. The Titans in the lead in the division.
The Titans 2 games over 500.
Yeah.
The Dolphins are freaking 9-5. The Dolphins are in a playoff spot right now.
And the Colts just working over the Vikings the way they did. And, you know, the Broncos and the Vikings are basically out of it at this point. I mean, they're hanging on by a thread. They're still mathematically alive. Like, it's going to take a miracle.
I just want to gloat to the Broncos. Like, did you really think that you could have made a run at this without a starting quarterback? It worked for a bit.
They almost got there, man.
They looked tough early on. I mean, they really did.
It was tough. All on the defense, though, and eventually, like, that's not sustainable.
Guess not.
Well, and what was it? 2 weeks ago, they had whoever the hell the starting quarterback was at the time, Trevor Siemian. He threw like
we don't even know.
I don't know what. I mean, they're flip flopping right now, but Siemian threw 51 passes 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Like that's not the way that they should be operating at all. And I mean, they lost to the Titans too.
I'm telling you, man, my Titans are peaking at the right time. Look out!
I don't get it.
I'm always a year or two late on these. Like just with the Bucs, we were off by 1 year with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter because it's going to be a Giants-Patriots Super Bowl Part 3. And,
Probably.
That's going to be that.
Can't wait for that. More and more like that's going to happen at this point.
The only team, the Giants can beat everybody, including the Cowboys, twice. And then the Patriots just keep doing what they do. 12-2.
The only hope we have with the Patriots is that they don't get home field advantage. If they get home field throughout, they're going to the Super Bowl. Simple as that.
They're going to. They're going to. I mean, the only thing that would be fun and maybe a way to derail them is if we get the Tuck Rule game Part 2 and the Raiders get their revenge.
That would be nice. But yeah, right now, if I had to put down money,
maybe the Steelers, but.
If I had to put down money, I would say it's going to be Giants, Patriots in the Super Bowl again this year.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would too.
And my God, that means third time in less than, 10 years?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. No thanks. No thanks. And the Giants will win again on some bullshit play because Peyton Manning will throw it and like it'll stick in the guy's ass crack or something.
Eli Manning.
Well, yeah, him too.
Okay.
What did I say, Peyton Manning?
People who have
I'd love if Peyton could just pull a win out of his ass. That'd be nice.
People who listen to the show, know I'm not the biggest Peyton Manning fan, but when all this is said and done, Eli Manning ends up with more Super Bowls than Peyton Manning, that will truly be like a miscarriage of justice.
If Eli has 3 rings, we're
not exactly reaching the end of his career. He could still rattle off 2 more bullshit Super Bowl titles.
If anything, actually, now that I think about it for another second, Eli having that many Super Bowls is just even more of a you could even spin it to say, hey, that's a positive for Peyton Manning, because then it really does show it's not about the quarterback. It's not the team.
Well, I was thinking about this. Okay, of starting quarterbacks with multiple rings, he's got to be the worst, right? I mean,
with multiple rings,
yeah, not just one, because then you could really get into some pretty.
Well, then Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, then you're getting to Trent Dilfer territory.
Joe
Flacco, guys like that. I'm talking guys that have won more than one.
Yeah,
which aren't that many, but Jim Plunkett was a Raiders quarterback. He was actually pretty good.
Here's our list. Brady is 4, but we all agree Brady's actually good.
Yeah.
Joe Montana, still pretty good.
Very best.
Terry Bradshaw.
Bradshaw was great.
Yeah.
He really was. I was actually, I saw him play. He was really good.
Let's see. Then we go to, who else is 3? Troy Aikman. I'd say he's pretty good.
Give him the nod, yeah.
Then you get guys, John Elway.
Pretty good quarterback.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Roger Staubach.
Pretty good quarterback.
Peyton Manning.
Pretty good quarterback, despite what Mike might think.
Bob Greasy.
Bob Greasy was really good too, but again, different era.
Ben Roethlisberger.
I think he's a great quarterback, Roethlisberger. I think he's underrated, actually.
Yeah, I'd say that. I'd say he's underrated.
Bart Starr.
Different era again, but another good quarterback. I don't remember him playing, but he's the only one so far that I haven't seen.
And then Jim Plunkett's the only other one with multiple. And then you get Jim Kelly 0 for 4 in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. But that's
Elway lost 3 times before he won 2. Fran Tarkenton was 0 and 3.
Put Eli playing in the era like when Staubach was a quarterback, I don't think he'd be any good at all. I mean, he's doing what he's doing in an era where they don't even play defense.
Yeah.
That's why I know that Brady's great, and I give him all the credit in the world, but you'll never convince me he's better than Montana, because when Montana played, the rules were not nearly as loose as they are now. And Bradshaw in particular, he was playing. I think they changed the interference rules and all that in '78. So Bradshaw won 3 of those Super Bowls before they even changed the rules that made them less, or made it easier by comparison to what it was before '78, which it was even tougher. I mean, they had bump and run where you could beat the hell out of a receiver all the way down the field. There wasn't touch him, and after 5 yards you had to leave him alone. That didn't come into play until '78. So Bradshaw was really, really good. So was Greasy. Montana would throw for 7,000 yards now. Now everybody get the fuck off my lawn and leave me alone. Both of them, huh?
Yeah, they're not gonna play.
I don't know about this. I mean, McCaffrey and Fournette, and they're not just they're going to skip the bowl game. I mean, I don't think that's a good sign to the NFL. You know?
No, but I think it's okay. Because
I get it, but
they want to stay healthy. They don't want one more opportunity to get hurt.
Yeah,
especially if you're running backs, you know that your career span is going to be short anyway.
Right.
In the NFL, you got to make as much money as you can and stay healthy for as long as you can.
And honestly,
games you could get one big hit to the helmet on helmet, and then your draft stock plummets.
Well, what was the guy's name? He played for Miami in the game 2002 National Championship. McGahee played for the Bills for a while.
Willis McGahee.
Yeah, Willis McGahee blew out his knee in like the 3rd or 4th play, and people thought he was done. I mean, it was kind of a minor miracle that he actually had a pretty good NFL career after that. So that's the kind of risk you're running. I understand, but I don't like the precedent it sets because, again, going back to what Mike was talking about off air a minute ago. You've got a lot of people that are going to spend a lot of money to go see these bowl games, and you've got the guys that you're going to see that aren't playing. But then again, they're amateur athletes. What are you supposed to do?
I honestly think this is – I mean, on the show we've talked a bit about, when the monolith that is the NFL is going to start to crack. I honestly think we're going to start to see cracks in the college football system before the NFL in any meaningful way. And I think this is sort of one of them where you've heard people say it forever – if it's not the national championship, or now you can add, if it's not the national championship or one of the playoff games, how meaningful are these bowl games?
Well, they have absolutely no meaning. I mean, the best thing you can do if you're a star player in a bowl game is raise your stock. But you can also lower it. I've seen that happen too, where a guy, I want to go back to the Miami Hurricanes again. I don't remember the player, but he was highly touted. Came out and just had the worst bowl game you've ever seen in your life, and I think it hurt his draft stock. So but that to take that a step further though, how long before this affects the playoff or the national championship game, where you get guys like, let's say that JT Barrett, provided the Buckeyes pull off the miracle and beat Clemson and get there, what's to stop him from going, okay, I'm not going to play in the title game because I don't want to get injured for the NFL? I mean, that's the thing you're running into here.
I think that's different though. I think if you're playing for a national title, I think you'll play.
Exactly.
Because you're talking about what does that show to the NFL? If you're not willing to sacrifice everything to play for a title, a national title, then how are you going to sacrifice everything to play for a Super Bowl? But I don't even know what bowl Stanford's even playing in, or whatever LSU's playing in. but I'm sure it's one of these mid-December games. Maybe LSU's playing on in like the Outback Bowl or something. But
yeah, I have no idea.
These games don't mean anything, and especially for two guys like, I think it's also interesting with McCaffrey and Fournette, because a year ago they were Heisman contenders, right? They were shot out of a cannon. These are some of the most amazing running backs you've ever seen. Cut to a year later, and they've had very down seasons.
Yeah.
And maybe they think, well, our stock's already falling a little bit. Maybe we want to just cut our losses, skip the bowl game, get in his best physical shape as possible to show off at the combine, say, hey, this is what we're all about. This is what we can do, like you saw us do before, and then go into the draft. I think the other thing that I heard, which is an interesting thing, was these college coaches skip these bowl games all the time to go on to their new jobs, right?
Yeah.
Aren't these players essentially doing the same thing where they're skipping this bowl game to move on to their next job?
No, I understand the reasoning behind it, and I totally get it, and I can't really disagree with it. I'm just saying that it sets a weird precedent.
I have to disagree, though. I don't think you're going to see players skipping playoff games or national title games, but I do think this is going to start a precedent where you're going to see more and more players just completely skip out on these non-bowl games, on like these non-important bowl games.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't know what that means to the LSU's playing in the Buffalo Wild Wings Citrus Bowl, which is the Citrus Bowl. Citrus Bowl is actually it's like a second level bowl. It's a pretty good one. And who was the other one? Stanford.
Not playing the Sun Bowl.
They're playing the Hyundai Sun Bowl against North Carolina. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. I mean, as much as I don't want to beleaguer anyone a trip to El Paso, I don't know.
The poor Sun Bowl. I think it's. I don't think it's even on ESPN either. I think it's on some
CBS.
Yeah, but it's always at a weird spot where you go, oh, that's right, the Sun Bowl's on. It's not one of those that you almost have to stumble into it by accident, or you'll forget all about it.
There's like 2 or 3 maybe bowl games that aren't on ESPN or ABC, and it's like because you're so caught up in all these other bowl games, you forget that something like the Sun Bowl even happens, even though it's on CBS and it's a big deal for CBS to have that game, I guess. But you forget about it. But
going back to the start, we didn't talk about this on air either. But who did I have in Tulsa, Central Michigan?
We both had Tulsa.
Okay, because they won 55-10. Spoiler alert for anybody that had the Miami Beach Bowl on their DVR. Sorry, I just ruined it for you.
So both Tulsa won. So that means I am now 4-2, and Greg, you're back to 500.
Okay,
you're 3-3.
I will take this thing when it comes down to it at the end. I made a couple of dumb choices. But yeah, back to the players thing. I mean, I get it with McCaffrey and Fournette. I understand it. I just don't know. I think Mike's right. We're going to see a lot more of this, but until you're going to start paying these guys, I can't blame them. I don't like it. I don't like the fact that you've got fans from, say, LSU or Stanford. They're going to go to these games and not see the marquee players, but you're not paying these guys to be there, so why not? I mean, you've made money off of them for 4 years. I'm not going to begrudge them sitting out a game because they don't want to risk their pro careers on it. I can't have an issue with that.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not like I don't even think either of these guys are going to be attending classes in the spring semester or anything like that.
Probably
essentially,
not.
They're done with school.
Mm-hmm.
They're from their finals are over for most schools. So at this point, their next thing is getting ready for the NFL. So
here's my question. Okay,
but you know what? And the other thing that you guys were saying, like, what if all these players start skipping the bowl games? What if they do?
Yeah.
And what if these bowl games, the ratings drop or the ticket sales drop, and some of these bowl games just start going by the wayside? Is that a bad thing?
No. Or yes, it is a bad thing.
It's a bad thing that we lose some of these games.
Well, I could stand to lose 3 or 4, but I like them.
Do we really need the PapaJohns.com bowl?
Yes. I'll tell you why, because for a lot of these players, this is as good as it's ever going to get for them. So I don't want to see that go away for their sake. And I got to have something to watch on a Tuesday. I got to have my college football.
I agree. I do love all the bowl games, as we've talked about plenty of times, and we talk about it on our football show. But some of these just don't need to exist. Like,
you mean the Dollar General Bowl with Ohio versus Troy at Ladd Peebles Stadium in Mobile, Alabama?
That might be one we could get rid of. Yeah, that's one of a couple. We beleaguered the New Mexico Bowl for like 10 minutes because the only reason it exists is so New Mexico doesn't have to go anywhere and they can just play their bowl game in their home stadium.
Yeah,
which kind of seems to defeat the purpose of the whole thing. But okay,
right.
And like half these bowls, ESPN literally created these bowls just so they could have something to show. Not because it's some crowning achievement for these kids. It's so that ESPN can have more football on its airwaves.
I think
I say what you do is you take you take our playoff plan of like the top 5 conference winners and then 3 at large, and then you take the all of the top bowl games and you make those playoff games, and then you just trash everything else.
No. I would like to see it though. I would like to see it. I would like to see it trimmed down to where we didn't have to put in a stipulation where teams with a losing record could go if they met a certain criteria. That means you've got too many bowls and you can't even put winning records on all of them. So I could see losing about 10 of them, because what are there, like 39 or something this year?
33, I think we count.
Okay, so I could see cutting that down to say 25. I think would be fair. That's still an awful lot, but it's not. You're not having 5 and 7 teams make bowl games, which is ridiculous.
Do we need a Popeyes Bahamas Bowl?
Yes. Isn't that the one they play in the Bahamas?
Yeah, in the Bahamas.
Yeah, see, that's cool. Well, we don't need any of them.
Eastern Michigan versus Old Dominion.
Really?
Yes.
Wow, okay. Maybe that one we could get by without too.
Dollar General, like it's the same day as the Dollar General Bowl.
Well, yeah.
So,
I mean, I get your point.
Let's see. Hawaii Bowl we can keep. St. Petersburg Bowl where they play it in Tropicana Field.
Yeah, nothing like putting a football field in the shittiest baseball stadium in the world. Yeah.
Miami, Ohio versus Mississippi State.
Oh my God, that's going to get ugly.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, the less sports played in Tropicana Field, the better.
Right. Really, Miami of Ohio against the SEC Mississippi State?
Yes.
Oh, holy hell.
These are on Boxing Day. Let's see. The Quick Lane Bowl, you get Maryland, Boston College, a good basketball game.
Wait, Maryland was good enough to make a bowl game?
Yeah. That Maryland.
Wow.
Zaxby's Heart of Dallas Bowl.
Yeah, well, some of these, like you've got, we talked about it last week on the football show. You've got 2 bowl games in San Diego now. You've got the, I don't know what the first one is, and you've got the Holiday Bowl.
You got the Poinsettia Bowl, which is coming up.
The Holiday Bowl has always been a classic. There's been a lot of great games played in the Holiday Bowl. So
Holiday Bowl, great.
But the Flower Bowl, I think we could probably do without.
The San Diego County Credit Union Poinsettia Bowl.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's 2 bowl games within inside of, a couple of weeks in San Diego?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's asking an awful lot, I think. And like the St. Petersburg Bowl, we can do without that. But keep the Citrus, the Outback, the big name ones. But come on, some of these are just absurd. Sure.
Camping World Independence Bowl at Independence Stadium in Shreveport, Louisiana.
Oh, the Independence Bowl's been around a long time. That's a traditional bowl, believe it or not.
NC State Vanderbilt, what a barn burner that will be.
Go Commodores.
I love how authentically enthusiastic you are for a lot of these matchups, Greg.
I love college football, man. What can I say? I do.
I love college football too, but some of these, I'm trying to find a really.
I love NHL hockey, Greg, but I'm not going to give a crap about the Nashville Predators versus the Arizona Coyotes. I'm just
Alamo Bowl's good.
No, you were the guy. No, you were the guys that were watching the what was it? The World Baseball Classic of Hockey they had earlier this year.
Oh, you mean the World Cup of Hockey?
Right. So don't be giving me shit about bowl games until you guys. Come on.
Excuse me. The World Cup of Hockey was a prestigious event.
Team Europe versus Team North America.
Right up there with the AutoZone Liberty Bowl played in Memphis, Tennessee.
What about the Nova Home Loans Arizona Bowl?
Okay, that one we could do without.
Those
that
are
one's
just
in
words.
One's in Tucson.
Who plays in that one?
South Alabama and Air Force.
Oh, well, yeah, come on. It's Air Force, man. Any chance to watch Air Force is a good thing.
But that's
I feel like go back to their Chargers uniforms because if the Chargers won't, someone has to.
Right.
That's the lead in for the. Wait a second. Oh my God, is that not on ESPN? Because it's where it says the TV network, it says Campus Insiders.
What's that?
Is this one broadcast
on? Wait, are we going to do a bowl game where you can't even get it unless you have the internet, or like you got to stream it
on Campus Insiders? What the hell is Campus Insiders?
I think it's like an internet station type deal, isn't it?
I'm looking it up right now.
I want to tell you my favorite bowl of them all. I just got to find it here real quick.
CampusInsiders.com. Yeah, oh my God. There is a bowl game that is only being broadcast online. Can we cut this one?
That one we could probably get rid of. Let me find it here.
The one I really don't get is the Little Caesars Bowl, because a lot of these I kind of get from the perspective of, hey, it's the end of the season.
Right.
It's an excuse for these kids to have like a vacation somewhere. It's like, oh, hey, you get to go to the Bahamas. Like, okay, that's fun. I get that.
Uh-huh.
But
you're about to make the point I was going to make. Go ahead.
Who wants to, have to spend one more game and spend it in Detroit?
I was just going to say, congratulations, you've made the Little Caesars Bowl. You're off to beautiful Detroit. Woo, look out.
Yeah, the Quick Lane Bowl that I was telling you about, that was in Ford Field also. That's the Maryland College in Detroit. Maybe they changed the Little Caesars Bowl to the Quick Lane Bowl. I'm going to double check here.
That's probably what happened.
I really can't see two bowls setting up shop in Detroit.
I don't know. We got another in Birmingham.
But yeah, imagine let's say too that you play for a team like I don't know, like we'll use South Florida as an example. You've had a pretty decent season, you get a bowl bid, and you got to go to Detroit. Okay, I'm saying, you know what? I'm staying home. No thanks. Detroit?
No, I think the Pizza Bowl has become the Quick Lane Bowl.
Detroit, going to Detroit wasn't fun back when Detroit was still okay. Now, downtown Detroit's a ghost town. Okay. But yeah, Mike, I agree with you there.
Jesus. At least put it in, I don't know, somewhere nice. Anywhere but Detroit would be a step up.
Yeah. How about this one? The Foster Farms Bowl in Santa Clara, California at Levi Stadium. Clash of the Titans, Indiana versus Utah. That might be a pretty good game.
Okay,
at least they moved that thing out of Pac Bell Park, whatever the hell it's called now.
Or they had both teams on the same side of the field. Remember?
Yeah. They had to share a sideline. Yeah.
At least then, though, at least you go to the San Francisco Bay Area. That's a nice area of the country.
I'll tell you though, a bowl that's really kind of coming on because it's had some pretty good games is that New Era Pinstripe Bowl they play at Yankee Stadium. That's actually been a pretty cool bowl game the past few years. The Russell Athletic Bowl, that's Orlando's, 5th or 6th bowl this year?
Yeah, Orlando gets a bunch. The Cactus Bowl, because Sun Devil Stadium is still going under some renovations right now. The Motel 6 Cactus Bowl between Boise State and Baylor is being played at Chase Field in Phoenix. Which has a great football layout, I'll have you know.
I bet.
The Miami Beach Bowl, the one that was played today, is played in Marlins Park.
I know. We talked about that. Was it on this show or on the football show? How great it was that you could play in Marlins Park and you have football going on with the thing that has no name out in center field. And I just thought it was
the aquarium is behind home plate.
Yeah, that's awesome. Come on. Gator Bowl's in Orlando too, right? Or is that in Jacksonville?
Jacksonville.
Okay.
Georgia Tech and Kentucky.
That'd be a good game. I think so. We got the Georgia Tech triple option, and I don't know what Kentucky's doing these days, but they won enough games to make a bowl.
They did beat Louisville at the end of the season, remember?
Yeah.
We laughed at that.
Yeah, that was funny. Poor Louisville.
The Belk Bowl, whatever a Belk is.
Isn't that something to do with the helicopter? No, Belk's a store. I'm sorry. It's a store in the South, like what would the civilized world equivalent of that be?
I don't know, but it's our
TJ Maxx. TJ Maxx. It would be like a TJ Maxx bowl. Yeah.
Our Kansas versus Virginia Tech in that one.
All right.
Well, we'll talk about all these and more on basically a football show where we won't demean the bowl games for their existence. We'll just talk about
these very same bowl games that we're ridiculing right now. We will take seriously and talk about on basically a football show.
I will say, maybe it is kind of a positive thing because we're looking through these and we're not finding the traditional ones that we always would bang on as being, why does this thing exist? So I think we've trimmed a couple, which is good.
Well, I want to say that
we can still lose at least 3 more, probably.
I think it hit a high of maybe like 47 a couple years ago.
It was, I remember that. Yeah,
and
that's when we were getting the games after the championship game, and like, yeah.
But yeah, I think you could cut it back. What did we say? 40? I think it says here on the ESPN page it's 42. I'd be perfectly fine with cutting that back to even just say like 35. Dropping about 7 of these, I think would be fine. All right, so we've ridiculed bowl games. We have, I forget what else we talked about, but I'm sure it was something.
We talked about things.
If you've made it this far, you know what we were talking about an hour ago, so good for you. I think we're done for the night, right?
Yeah.
We should. I don't think we've made a note of this on the air yet. Zach's tabs are on hiatus right now because he's just too busy. Oh, happy holidays, everybody! Have a great Christmas, Hanukkah, et cetera, and I got nothing else. You guys got anything?
One of those fun years where Hanukkah and Christmas start at the same time. So.
Yeah.
Woo!
It's not like Hanukkah's done like a week before Christmas, and then it's kind of an awkward phase.
There are some crazy years where like Hanukkah pops up in like the last week of November, and it's like, oh, that's right, the Hebrew calendar doesn't actually. Well, it makes sense in its own context, but not in any other context.
Right.
Have a Merry Christmas, everyone, and Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, and whatever else you celebrate out there.
Air your grievances.
Right. Happy Festivus, of course.
Well,
right.
And as they say in the Star Wars universe, Happy Life Day, everyone.